No problem. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Hopefully most of you were able to join on Tuesday when we went over how to access the Herman Miller contract pricing system. Again, I'm Brad Tukey, your channel relationship executive for New York. And we also have Wendy Bazinski, contract manager, and Jeffrey Ball, contract specialist for the training today, which will be about creating and editing pricing requests in the contract system. If you can, please mute your microphones, use chat to ask any questions, and if you can, make sure you're logged into Omni, you can follow along. It's a lot more useful to be able to follow along, and it's better for your learning too.
And Brad, did you get any feedback? The homework from last time was that everybody get signed in and at least find the prime contract. Did you have anybody reach out to you saying they couldn't get in?
I didn't have anyone saying they couldn't get in. Maybe if anyone wants to enter in the chat, just with a yay or a nay, whether they were able to get in there and look at the prime contract, that would be helpful for us.
Okay, and again, everyone, our prime contract is what you guys know at Knoll as essentials. It's our standard dealer discounts. One thing I wanted to bring up, pardon? Okay. One thing I wanted to bring up, we had a question on Tuesday about when you're going to get trained on our order entry process. And I did do some digging, and there is going to be some training that is first going to go live on Omni, and that should be available within the next 2 weeks. That'll take you through the process, and then there will be follow-up training behind that. So look for an announcement when what's going to happen on Omni is training for a lot of processes. Order entry is one of them. So that will be available to you all shortly. Today, we're going to go over how to actually enter a pricing request into our system. So what that is if you need discounting above and beyond the prime discount, this is how you will do it. The question as to when should you enter a special pricing request. Typically, if a project is 50,000 list or less, you should be using prime unless there's extenuating circumstances. Anything over that is when you would actually go into the pricing system to request special pricing. So with that, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And I am actually going to go off camera and share my screen. Okay. Everybody able to see the contracts homepage here?
I can.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, what we're going to do today, we're going to start out by creating a new contract request. We're also going to do a change request to an existing contract, and we're going to look at what the general pricing approval process looks like and some contract visibility basics. So from the contracts homepage here, I'm going to create a new request by going down to this new contract link. I'll click it. You'll notice that we have GEI is for Geiger, HMI, Herman Miller, KNL is for Knoll, and NEM is for Nemshoff. This
And
right
again,
here,
yeah, go ahead.
The Knoll piece of this is not functional right now. I'm actually working out of a test system. So this is in development. So this demonstration is really for Herman Miller. So that's defaulted here. Wendy, did you have anything that you wanted to say?
Nope, you said it. I was just going to tell them that Knoll wasn't available currently.
Okay, so I'm going to select my contract type, and I'm going to select project basic. I'm going to put in a reason for the request, and let's see, so need additional discounting greater than. Right. This is a required field, and I believe that there is probably a 7-digit requirement. So something short and brief is good. Continue.
Hey, quick question, just, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not yet, but with those designations, the different types of contracts, whether it's Herman Miller or Knoll, that's, so if it's Herman Miller product, you need to put in, obviously, a Herman Miller pricing request. If it's Knoll product, you put a separate Knoll pricing request for the Knoll product.
That is correct.
Yes.
And hopefully soon you're going to go into the same system to request both. And there will be indicators, like if you have a project that has mixed product on it, some Knoll, some Herman Miller, there'll be an indicator on each of the requests so that we know to look at them to get in unison to give the discounting for that.
Okay. As we start filling out the form here, our expiration date defaults to 6 months out into the future. And this is dependent on the contract type that we select. So it can change based on that, but this demonstration is just for a project pricing.
Now, let me go to that expiration date, because a lot of times, if it's an RFP and you know that this pricing needs to be good for a year, we need you to change that to the date you actually request that the project pricing end. So it defaults to 6 months, but be sure to put in what you really need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this can be changed. Like, easy to change it. Our invoice type will be invoicing the dealer. Our only other selection is end direct or end user. And for this demo, we're going to be invoicing the dealer. The sales region here, this should default to the person that's creating the request identifies with the specific sales region. And as you can see, I have access to everything. So I'm just going to use the Pacific Northwest as an example and come down to the next section where we list a customer's name. I'm going to go with Boeing. I'm going to list their state, Washington, and their country. Click find. And we already have them, Boeing Employees Credit Union, listed in the system. So I'm going to select that.
So if it's not selected, if it's not in the system, Jeff, they go back to that. I just want them to know how to find one if it's not in the system, how to create one if it's not in the system.
Do that again.
It's actually searching, I believe, Salesforce for customers that are listed in there. But so it's always better to have a Salesforce record behind this as you begin. So
right here, like if this isn't the correct like location, or if you wanted to create, like for the, instead of Boeing Employees Credit Union, if it were a division of the airline company, you could go in here and create a new customer. We can demo that, but would you like to see that?
Well, just click on it so they can see the fields, if it'll allow that, and then we can go back, just so that they know what they would need. Because I'm not sure we're gonna have all of the Knoll customer names already preloaded in Salesforce.
Okay. So this is a basic customer profile that I'm creating.
And they don't need to worry about the DUNS number, correct?
No, they shouldn't. No. Okay.
So what you're looking at when you see that he's got some fields that have that red line before you type, that is telling you that those fields are required.
Right. Yeah, if you don't fill out these required fields, it will not let you submit. I'm actually going to, so that's how you would save it. Select and return. Okay, there's my end customer. Next thing I need to do is select a dealer.
That doesn't come pre-populated if they're associated with a dealer?
No,
Okay.
they can click, if you're with a dealership, you can click this add my dealers button and it should give you a list. I'm affiliated with, it really isn't intended for me to click that button, but if you have access to multiple dealers, they should all be in there.
Jeff, can you put in Creative Office Resources in there and see what comes up? Because they have multiple locations, and I believe there's going to be multiple dealer numbers, and it's really, really important that they put in the correct dealer number.
Yeah, it is.
Creative Office. I'm going to use a partial name and see what it gives me. Yes, we've got multiple dealer numbers here.
I don't fucking care.
If you could mute your phones, that would be great. So as you can see, Creative Office Resources has that D number in front of your name is actually your dealer number, your Herman Miller dealer number. And it's real important that you know what your dealer number is for your location. So you're going to select based on your location, which dealer number you're choosing.
Right.
Especially you guys, because you have so many locations.
I'll just pick New York or Boston, actually, because they're on top. Okay. It's added the dealer. And as I move down the form here, I'm selecting the market of the customer, the vertical market. And see, Boeing would fall into like a work category. And I would consider them as heavy manufacturing.
And work really just means commercial business.
Right. But when we select this commercial business code, it does drive some of the reporting that we do on the backside. I believe that's the primary purpose for it.
Yeah.
But selecting the correct vertical market that's a critical thing, because this is the part of the business that's going to get credit for the sales. We'll be selecting a sales lead in this situation.
And Brad, how do they know what sales, because there's so many salespeople in COR's territory, right? How do they know which sales lead to choose for this opportunity?
So that's going to be a process of currently, like, because we're in pre-sell, we have a little more of an involved process to determine that, where if they're putting in a contract pricing request, they're not using Prime, they've got to go through Linda Neely, Lisa Loop, they got to go through their dealer management, contact Kim Pinkerton and Rob Tenalia in order to get authorization to do it. And then they would get in contact with us to assign a Herman Miller sales rep. So either me or one of our business development reps, but we would let them know, like when they're reaching out at this point, they have to reach out through Rob Tenalia or Kim Pinkerton to get authorization to do this. And once they do, we'll let them know who the sales lead would be.
Okay,
after
perfect.
After June 1, we will have assigned account lists that we'll be able to share, which will have Herman Miller reps, Miller reps assigned to different accounts. It just, that work hasn't been done yet, so it's a little more manual at this point.
Okay, and the reason that is important, because let's say you put Brad in there, but it should really be Nick Brunetti. Nick can't see the pricing request because he wasn't added as the sales lead. The same if it should have been Brad and you put in Nick. So it's important that the right sales lead be added there.
Mhm. And I have, I don't have Brad in my list here because this is a test database.
Okay.
So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me a little later during the demo here.
I don't think you added that person yet.
You're right. Good
Mhm.
catch. I was wondering if you'd find that.
And it won't let you add it because
Assigned sales lead. That's because I changed everything around here. Let's see.
so as what you're watching him do is the fact that different salespeople and different dealers have authorization in only specific sales regions. So he had a name, he had put 41, that's the New York sales region, and Jen is not associated to that, so it wouldn't allow him. So there is some checks and balances in here to make sure that chaos doesn't ensue because it's got all kinds of different information in it.
Right. So I went in and I changed that sales region up there, so now it works.
Hey, Wendy, sorry, quick question. We have a question in the chat about, there's currently no dealer number for the 1501 Broadway, New York location, it looks like, for Creative Office Resources. So which dealer number do we use? We have been using, and I can put this in the chat, is a specific dealer number that's associated with, it just said, I think it just says Creative Office Resources, New York.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that specific address, but it does say New York.
Correct.
So I'll put it in the chat now. There you go. Right. Text, it's really. Go. That did come up in the list though, this specific number.
Perfect.
It's really the dealer number through which the order will be placed. It's
Correct.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna move on to project opportunity. I'm gonna click this button.
What I did wrong, because it was very frustrating.
Mm,
Okay, I gotta let you go. Bye.
Okay, yep, bye.
If you guys could all please mute your mics, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna click the Find Project Opportunity button. And what this is doing is it going out to Salesforce, it's looking, and it did not find an opportunity. So I'm going to click this button to create one. Notice this required field here. Let's see, I need to fill that in.
And this is actually creating the opportunity in your Salesforce. So after you've requested this, you could actually go into your Salesforce system and see the opportunity you created.
That's only for Miller Knoll. It's you know, as a dealer, you're putting this in. They're not tied into our Salesforce CRM. So.
I thought they're merging the two instances.
Well, Knoll and Herman Miller Salesforce being merged, but our
Oh, that's right. The
dealers
dealers aren't, you are
aren't
totally
us.
right. Ignore what I said, sorry. You're creating it for the sales rep. If it's not there, then
Yeah, it gets created automatically. So
yeah.
don't worry about that.
There's some debate, Wendy, of whether this actually creates a Salesforce opportunity or not.
Well,
I
the dealer
honestly-
can't, the dealer can't see it, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Right. I honestly can't answer that question. But I know that they are working on making that happen. Moving further down, contact name.
And this is not clear. So this is a moment that you're going to have to remember. We're actually asking for the customer contact name and phone number. It looks like we're asking for your contact name and phone number, but that is not the case. They're going to be changing that language there to say customer contact name. But in the meantime, just remember that we get a lot of sales reps' phone numbers in there when really we want the customer.
Good point. Okay, we ask a question here. Are you offering a discount to meet a price you reasonably believe was offered by another competitor in the market? Click yes and
Always yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, just always click yes. I get a few that come through that say that was clicked no. This has to do with our federal government compliance, and they say if it's not a competitive situation, we shouldn't be offering additional discounting. So just always say yes and put in who. And if it's more than one, put in more than one competitor.
Mhm. Okay, moving on, we're going to add our products now. And you can add them by the 2-digit product code or by the product name. I prefer to just click this find button, and it gives me a list in alphabetic order of product name. We've got our product code here. And for this demo, I'm just going to add these 3 products.
And just FYI, Herman Miller discounts differently than Knoll does. Knoll discounts by like product, like all systems gets the same discount. Like seating gets the same discount. Here, we make it as complicated as possible because we like to do that sometimes. And you have about almost 75 different product lines, and we discount by product line. So where do you find these product codes? When your specifier is doing the specification work, they can actually run a report asking for the generic product codes, and it will spit out what that 2-digit code is. People will sometimes call me and say, just ask what a specific name of a product is, and I actually need to know the product code. So those 2-digit codes are very, very important. You'll see them on your prime discounting sheet. You'll learn them as you go, but your specifying tool, it's called the generic product code, and they can run a report showing that. So that's where you're going to find them.
Okay. So to add these products, I just click the add button. And notice over here, here are the 3: Action Office 1 and 2 and Aeron. There are additional products here, like accessories, C-Style Energy, generic. These other products are called ancillary products. And if you pick a systems or a seating product, it's automatically going to add these. You can delete them if you want. Some people don't want them in there. Most of the time, we just leave them in there.
And if they are included, you don't have, and you don't have it on your list from your specifier, you don't have to put a volume in there. It can just be left alone.
Yes. So I'm putting a list dollar amount by product line. I don't have to put one in every, just like Wendy said. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this request discounts button.
And that is important, that request discounts runs what we call the NPO tool. Net
Right.
pricing optimization, I think it's what it's going to do. And so once you hit that request discounts button, the system actually looks at your region, looks at projects that size with that similar product mix, and is going to recommend discounts that we feel through past experience will win a project with that type of competitor, again, that product mix and that volume. So that request button has a big machine behind it that's helping to develop what it's going to give you.
And I'd recommend that you, before you click this button, make sure that you add whatever products prior to clicking this button, because when I click it here, it says you have one opportunity to do this. So it's only going to perform this recommending a discount one time.
And I can't stress that enough. There are lots of times where we hear, oh, we forgot to add this product. Oh, we forgot to add that product. So make sure that your specifying is as complete as possible, because the size of the product matters, the mix of the product matters. What was the
Yes.
problem?
Oh, I think it's with the dealer here. You got me off track when I first started, so it's not.
It's not.
It's a mismatch between the region and the dealer, because originally you chose Pacific Northwest, and then we had you put in three resources.
Maybe I can switch that.
Or change the region, make it real for them.
Then he's got to change the sales rep.
Yeah, I already.
Okay.
I think he knows what he normally trains on. So
I had it all figured out before I talked to you guys. And then you changed it up on me.
sorry.
Not sure if this is gonna
tailor it a little bit for the specific audience, right?
Yeah.
It was. Well, not really, but it's what I did in my mind, okay?
Yeah.
So we'll see if let's see. Oh, okay.
Good opportunity to show the check errors page. Why don't you do that?
There it was. Okay, let's try that again.
Obviously, you have more than one opportunity. You have to, keep getting opportunities until you get all the errors corrected. Show them what you clicked for that, Jeff.
Oh, for the, this
Yeah.
one went right into it. Oh. Okay, see, when I created the customer number, I messed it up. So, let's see.
And to be honest with all of you, this can get a little frustrating when you can't find the error that you made, because it is particular about things. After Jeff fixes his error, he's going to show you where that button is that tells you what needs to be corrected.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and use what I did the first time. With my demo. Oh, geez. Okay. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, Wendy, cross your fingers. There we go. All right, now that I fixed this,
Okay.
recommend button. And this it recommended discounts, which are in blue. Go ahead, Wendy.
So this is again different than what you're used to with Knoll. If you remember with Knoll, they give you a discount, then they give you a dealer comp, and then they give you an effective discount at the end. So they don't necessarily ask for end user discounts. Our system requires it. So the actual discounts that you can use are the ones in black. The ones in blue underneath that are the discounts that the NPO tool generated for you. So again, that's based on a whole bunch of past research. So at this point, what we've been doing in your market, let's say that this is a $4 million project and you know you're up against some pretty steep competition. You're going to take a screenshot of this and you're going to send it to your sales rep, who will send it to me if you need additional discounting beyond what the NPO gives you. Again, the NPO is based on real data. So we're hoping it gives you the information that's correct. But if in an extenuating circumstance, you may need something more. You take a screenshot of that, you send it to Brad or whoever your sales rep is. They send it to me and I can do an offline analysis. But probably 80% of the time, what the NPO tool gives you is competitive enough that you should be able to win the opportunity.
And in that case, Wendy, if they were, you would click this accept discounts and submit.
Right. And if it's not, then you would have clicked that next button, the request discount exception. Don't do that until you've reached out to your sales rep, only because you're not going to know what to put in there. You might have some idea that, let's say you need 77 off instead of 75, but we always have to run an analysis to see if that is available from a margin perspective.
Sure. And when you do that, it unlocks these fields here. You do need to put a comment in here first. for a reason why that you need a discount exception. You can change discounts like and when I noticed I changed this first line in Action Office, if I click save, see if that margin should change. Yes, it did change.
So, and then you'll see that the MPO tool gave you 75 because that blue stays the same, but what you're requesting is 76. So, but the 76 is what the actual system is going to generate for you. That blue is just for you to know what the MPO tool recommended.
Mhm. And when I'm happy with my discounts here, I click submit discount exception. And the request gets submit to the person that you listed as your sales lead. And that's it for doing a new request. There are limitations to this. It is limited to US and Canada, and the contract type is on project basic and project complex. When we get into different contract types like FPAs or dealer helds, it doesn't recommend discounts, but it does provide an area where you can input discounts yourself. We're not going to demonstrate that here today, but it is a little bit different form. Also, the recommend button does not apply when you click the vertical market for federal government or federal government healthcare and state and local. Anything to add there, Wendy?
No, there's going to be intricacies to the system that you're going to get used to as you just start using it. So what we're showing you today is kind of the basics.
Yeah, I think I just take a high level, try not to, you don't need to remember everything. Just
and
concept.
And remember that help button over on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
There is actually a video in there that goes over what Jeff just went over. So if you're like, I don't remember what he said to do first, second, or third, how to create a non-federal government pricing request, that's exactly what Jeff just went over. So if you're having trouble, go there.
There's a video here. It's not narrated, but it is follow along with it. It's probably a 5-minute video. Here's one on how to do a change request, which actually I'm going to do right now. So just know that some of those materials are out there. And I'm going to just move into doing a change request. I'm starting to run a little short on time here. And I'm going to use an example here. So I have an active contract. I'm just using Cox Enterprises as an example. And one of the three or four primary things that I can do is I can extend the expiration date, add products, change discounts, or request price protection. So to do a change request, you would just take the active contract and put it in edit mode.
So that was the icon that shows a piece of paper with a pencil on it, because there's a bunch of icons up there.
Mm-hmm. Oops. Click continue. And you'll notice that the form is quite a bit different from creating a new request. It operates similar to if you were viewing an active contract in the system. So first thing I'm going to do here, let's say this is going to be expiring soon. If I wanted to extend it for another year, I'm going to just tap through that and click.
And
Go ahead.
I'm going to interject here. Let's talk about pricing. Project pricing is for a specific project with a specific time frame. There's a beginning to that project. There's an end to that project. So let's say this is Cox Enterprises. They have a project. We've discounted this. When that project ends, that pricing ends. That doesn't become Cox's pricing from now on. Understood? So it's these project pricings are not considered day two business discounts. So if we want to build day two discounts, we can do that under our FPA process, which is a facility purchasing agreement. We also call it a framework agreement. So just remember that project pricing is just for that specific project, for that specific time frame, for that specific product mix.
Okay. I moved this out the expiration a year. I always hit save afterwards because it updates my dates here on my customers and my terms, so I don't have to change that further down the road. We're gonna add some products. So if I click on pricing, it defaults to the discounting page here, but to add products, I need to click on products. Add product lines, and I'm going to click on it, just add canvas to product lines, add. And I go back to my discounting page. And you'll see here, they need discounts.
And typically, if you're adding products to an existing agreement, you're going to reach out to the sales rep. The sales rep is going to reach out to me, and I'm going to tell you what discounts you should add them at.
Here, I just matched really the
like product groups, yeah.
Most of the other canvas lines. So now that if I left these empty, it would not let me submit this request. I'm going to save my work here. I can also change discounts at this point.
And what you're doing is you're requesting new discounts. It doesn't actually give you the ability to change the discount and then go use it for a quote. It's going to have to go through the approval process. So it's really just a request.
So notice here the margin will change because I just saved it. Right. Wendy doesn't have to approve it if she doesn't like to. Doesn't want to.
If I'm not having a good day.
Right. Exactly. So at this point, let's see, let's say if I wanted to add price protection, we say just to add it into the comments and be specific to the price list that you want.
And to be honest, those are hard to come by right now. You can request it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get approved. They're just, because of commodity pricing, it's hard to get them approved.
So I'd say be real specific on the price list that you want and specifically for how long. If I click this, it logs the comments, and what happens is that after I submit this, it goes through processing. We have some people in contracts that will actually add that, and it will be reviewed by Wendy further down the road, and she can either approve that or not. And so I've changed the expiration date, added products, changed a discount, and requested price protection. And this is where I'm pretty much done. So I'm going to run this error checker to see if there's anything that's going to prevent me from submitting this. Nope. So we're good. Close that and submit. So this will submit to the sales lead that's listed on the contract.
Why don't you pull up the contract approval process real quick? We've only got another
Yeah, right.
11 minutes, because I know this gets confusing to people because the pricing goes through a lot of steps and there's a lot of reasons behind it, which would bore you to death. But I just want you to be able to understand. So when you click that NPO button and it gives you the recommended discounts, it still needs to be approved. So even if the system recommended it, you can't just develop a quote based off that recommend. It has to go through these approval processes. So go ahead and start, Jeff.
Yeah, one of the keys to understanding the process is knowing the different statuses that we use here in contracts. Obviously, when you create this, depicts a new contract, but most of them flow the same way. You initiate it in a draft that can be done by a dealer, a salesperson, or it could be done by somebody here in contracts. We fill out that contract request form and submit it, and it goes to our sales lead that's listed on there for approval. They can make changes or not.
Okay, so this is different than how discounting has happened through the NOL process, because through the NOL process, the sales lead or the sales manager could actually approve discounts. In our process, that is not the case. So really what they're doing when it says approval on here, it's really an FYI. They know that that's a customer that everybody has agreed that you're working on. They're aware that what the project size. So those approvals that you see from the sales lead and the sales manager are not discount approvals, right? They're approving the fact that you're submitting a request. It's confusing, I know, but I just don't want you to get mixed up and process a quote to a customer when it hasn't gone all the way through our approval process.
Okay. So after a sales lead will submit the request, it will go to the regional sales manager for approval as well. And then it will hit support status, in which we have some folks that screen the contract request before Wendy sees it. And they would do something like add a price protection term or look for an existing agreement and log it on there for Wendy. And they'll move that forward to contract manager status. So this is where Wendy does her review. And if she has any questions, she might contact the salesperson or the dealer and would eventually complete her approval.
So that is where, so I'm the contract manager, and you in Boston are going to have a different contract manager than the other locations. But it's the contract manager that looks at the request, does all of the financial analysis required in order to approve the discounts. The contract manager then, if need be, elevates the request up to our leadership if it's a large project and the discounts are really deep. So there's a lot of work that goes on in that contract manager. And it's once that contract manager has approved it, that's when you can use the discounts for quoting. So as you can see, there was 4 steps or 5 steps that happened before it even came to contract manager.
Right, and you'll get an email with the quote, it'll say that it's in quotable status. If it's, you can in fact quote it, correct?
Correct. Yes, if they have their notifications turned on, yes.
Right.
So where does that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move
Well,
through this
let's get through this though first.
really quickly. After Wendy approves it, it'll go to CRM status, and that's where the salesperson would mark their Salesforce opportunity as one.
But you can quote in CRM status.
Correct.
So even if it's not one yet, your quoting system can pull it in through the quote tool, and you actually have access to it. You just can't place an order on it.
Right. So when we receive a notice that it's one, we turn around and activate it. And once we activate it, the dealer can place the order. That's the overall process. You mentioned user settings. I'm going to hit on that really quickly. In your contracts view, if you click on this little link with your name on it, here are your user settings. This upper portion, I don't really pay a lot of attention to, but down here, you can set what we call alerts. And there's a list of different alerts, like contract expires in 2 or 3 months, next month, contract available to quote or order, I think. And then if you wanted something like that, you click on it and add it.
And that's gonna tell you when it's through the process.
Yeah,
It'll-
adding those alerts is very important. I would add in quotable status. I would probably also add in when it's going to expire. If you,
yeah, each person can set this themselves individually. So that's just basically what they want. I just caution you that if you start adding too many things, like contract pricing has changed, you could get inundated with emails.
But they're only going to be emails particular to that pricing request.
That they have access to.
That they have access to, correct.
Yes. I was just real briefly try to hit on some of the contract security, kind of explain what dealers, what they can see. So basically a dealer can see program pricing and FPAs that are open to all dealers. They can see their own contracts. If specifically, if a dealership person has contract access, they'll be able to see all of that dealership's contracts. Dealers are actually restricted from viewing other dealers' contracts unless one of our folks specifically adds multiple dealers. That's something that Wendy can do. That kind of wraps up what I have to add. Any quick questions? I've got to leave pretty quickly.
Any questions in the chat? You can always submit your questions to Brad and we can answer them and send them out. I know, again, this is a lot. And as Brad said before, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? You're going to get used to this. It's going to be a little frustrating in the beginning, but it's going to become second nature to you. And like I said, it's a really good tool that you will use a lot. So be patient with yourself. No question is a dumb question. And even if you have to ask the same question 3 and 4 times, we are totally understanding. So Jeff, thank you so much for all the work on that. You did a great job. And Brad, thank you for setting this up with everybody.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Jeff and Wendy, so much. And yeah, I'd like to reiterate, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I don't believe this will be the last training that we do on this. We will do more, and if we need to do individual one-on-ones with anyone, let me know. I'm happy to walk you through anything as well.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.